At the start of the 21st century, Dubai experienced a craze of urban development, placing the Arab Emirate as the capital of architectural records and eccentricities. The most ambitious project was the construction of the Palm Islands, which was later joined by the world and the universe archipelagos. In total, there are a group of 5 man-made archipelagos, promoted as a shelter of luxury. But today, over 10 years after the completion of the mega islands, there is still nothing built on them. What happened here? If something is not done, would these islands start to disappear? When thinking of a tourist city with an inexhaustible amount of tourist attractions, Dubai must come to mind. Its record-breaking and gorgeous skyscrapers, high-end hotels, nightlife, and boutiques are just some of the reasons why this place is getting so much attention in the tourist world. The place is home to the first 7-star hotel, the tallest building in the world's second-largest shopping mall, the world's first rotating skyscraper, and the most expensive restaurants you'd find anywhere in the world. But that wasn't exactly the case some decades ago. What used to be a desert became the world's most famous tourist city. Well, its glow-up is thanks to the oil discovery in 1966. Later on, the government realized that Dubai's oil reserves won't last forever. So, it decided it was time for a change. It turned its attention to trade, tourism, and real estate, and in light of this, it embarked on an ambitious infrastructure that has never been attempted in the history of the world. That is building the world's largest artificial islands. Before 2001, there was nothing off the coast of Dubai. But in the early 2000s, real estate developers found a tremendous opportunity in creating islands off the coast. Before this, Dubai had already expanded along its coast with massive buildings, like the Dubai International Airport. But this was nothing compared to what they were about to begin. So, Nakheel, a real estate company owned by the government of Dubai, made plans to speedily change the region within 20 years. Through this, they were able to embark on 3 different mega-island projects: Palm Jumeirah, Palm Jebel Ali, and eventually Palm Deira. Out of these 3, Palm Deira was the largest, being 9 times as large as Palm Jumeirah. It then proceeded with the World Island, which resembles the world map with each country represented. The World Islands is a group of 300 islands, and each island is planned to have high complexes and low-density housing, and some of its parts were to be used commercially. The government of the UAE planned to sell each island for large amounts to private billionaires who wanted a share of Dubai's luxury. The island was to be only accessible by mega yachts and sold to the highest bidders. Out of the 300 islands, only the ones named after Britain and Ireland is reported to have been bought. The one named after Greenland is, however, the most developed due to it being where the ruler of the UAE lives. In the later phase, the island was planned to be supplemented by an even larger project, the universe. When viewed from space, the universe project represented the sun, the moon, the Milky Way, and a distant galaxy. This was an ambitious project by the UAE, and perhaps it was too ambitious. The government showed confidence never seen before. Despite Dubai already being one of the biggest tourist attractions in the world, it had the potential of something even bigger. The islands were seen as prestige mega-projects that could serve a larger goal of developing Dubai into a major tourist hotspot and creating more income sources in the country that has gained most of its wealth from oil. So, since the government was determined and all plans were in place, what happened to those ambitious plans? In 2001, Nakheel began the construction of the Palm Jumeirah. Toward the end of 2006, sand had been dredged out of the seabed to make Palm Jumeirah, and the first apartments on the island were completed. Built in the shape of a palm front with rings about it, the strings on the palm were for private spaces, while luxury hotels were planned around the ring. The rings also were to protect the palm from storms. Now, the constructions on the Palm Jumeirah are completed, although it took much longer than was anticipated. Also, it was speculated to be able to hold 120,000 residents, but on completion, the island is home to only half of that number. Likewise, the land reclamation of Palm Jebel Ali had also been completed, but construction on the land was another issue. Nakheel had spent over $15 billion just on the land reclamation of Palm Jebel Ali. But despite the motivation, tourist income, and money from investors, Palm Jebel Ali is abandoned and empty. The third and biggest of the Palm Islands, Palm Deira, was also being constructed. However, it couldn't be continued on the scale Nakheel planned it, and it had to be rebranded. The project was scaled down. What should have been 9 times bigger than Palm Jumeirah was reduced to 2 high-rise buildings and a long shopping street. It is now known as the Deira Islands. Similarly, the land reclamation of World's Island was also almost completed, so much so that you could see each scaled country from space. But for almost a decade, the project has been a standstill. The waterfront islands also are nowhere close to being completed, and their land isn't fully reclaimed. The project has also been discontinued. While all these islands were still under construction, Nakheel underwent other massive projects during which the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world, and the Atlantis Hotel were built. The government even spent over $20 million to celebrate the opening of the hotel. Well, the government of Dubai didn't anticipate what was about to hit them. So what was the reason for the sudden abandonment of the largest mega projects in history? After the financial crash in 2008, the price and interest in real estate went down the drain. Investors withdrew their investments, and now the islands are sinking. The sand which was used to make the island are now sinking back to where they were dredged up from. Luckily for them, about 70% of World's Island was sold before the news of the sand sinking came to light. Since the information, the investors were no longer sure about the revenue from this project and have withdrawn funds. Well, the whole thing wouldn't come as a surprise to those who had been watching Dubai closely. The failure has been a few years in the making. When property prices in Dubai tanked after the Emirates went bust, most of the investors in the world weren't able to continue financing continuing work. But the crippled real estate market wasn't the only problem. The project was plagued by a series of events that foreshadowed what was to come. The man who bought Ireland, John O'Dolan, bought it for 25 million euros, after which he killed himself. The man who bought Britain, Safi Karashi, was sent to prison later on for fraud. In 2009, Nakheel itself was bailed out for a $25 billion debt. And now, the company that bought the rights to ferry people to and fro the islands has brought a case against Nakheel, claiming that the islands are falling back into the sea. The channels between them are filling up, and if it continues this way, it wouldn't be long before the whole project ends up under the sea. But those are not the only reasons why the projects are not getting as much pop as they did 20 years ago. Residents of Palm Jumeirah have continuously complained about the water quality. The island has backwater to protect it from erosion and to hinder natural tide movements. But that has caused problems, as the seawater within the palm became stagnant. Even worse, the mega-scale constructions in Dubai in the last 2 decades have warranted a migration of laborers. These laborers are kept in bad conditions and not taken care of, and this news has caught the attention of the mainstream media. All these negative effects make the islands harder and harder to market, thus reducing their real estate worth and swaying investors from using their funds. But despite all this, Nakheel and the UAE government are not fazed by the stalling and stagnancy of the project. According to the real estate company, construction is not dead, but only in a coma. But as for now, the future of what would have been the biggest commodity in the real estate market is unknown. Throughout history, every corner of the world has taken risky development projects. While few of them got successful, others failed. So, if you question Dubai for this ambitious planning, the same criticism must come for every part of it. With the success they've had in such a short time, I believe we can give them the benefit of the doubt, and hopefully, these earth-shattering projects would come to fulfillment.